paradrama tales.
My wife asked, "Do you think I'm still skinny?" I answered honestly. No, I didn't mean to hurt her, but everything shifted. Her silence, her eyes, the mood. It wasn't about the outfit anymore. It was about a truth she wasn't ready to face, and I had spoken it. Our life isn't glamorous. It's not picture perfect or Instagram ready, but it's ours, and for the most part, it's been good. We've been married long enough to know each other's coffee orders, but not so long that we've stopped caring about how we look on date night. She still does those little spins in the hallway when she buys something new. Outfit reveals, she calls them, and every single time, I tell her she looks beautiful. Not because I think I should, but because she truly does. My wife has always had a great sense of style. Classy, effortless, with just the right amount of bold. I'm not exactly the fashion type. I throw on whatever's clean and matches if I'm lucky, but I admire the way she puts herself together. I know it makes her feel good. It makes her feel her. And I've always loved watching that confidence glow on her skin. Since we had our first child 3 years ago, things have shifted gently, but undeniably. We sleep less. We talk in whispers during nap times. Our dates sometimes consist of grocery store runs with a coffee in the cart cup holder. Her body has changed slowly, like mine has too. We've both softened, aged a little in the corners, but I didn't see it as a problem. I saw it as a chapter. She never said much about it until that night. That night she stood in front of me wearing a new dress. I smiled. I told her she looked great. She paused and said, "I don't feel like I used to." I tilted my head. She continued, "Do you think I'm still skinny?" It wasn't a casual question. It wasn't playful. It came from somewhere deeper, somewhere quieter. And I didn't realize it then. But that wasn't just a question about her figure. It was a question about whether I still saw her, the way I used to. And my answer, though honest, would reveal just how delicate love becomes when it's wrapped in memory, motherhood, and a mirror that never quite reflects how we feel inside. I didn't hesitate when she asked. Maybe that was my first mistake. She looked at me quiet, uncertain, and said, "Do you think I'm still skinny?" And without thinking too hard, I gave her what I thought was the honest, harmless truth. No, not really. It wasn't said with cruelty. I wasn't trying to sting her. I wasn't even thinking about the weight of the word. To me, it was just an answer, just the truth. But the truth has a weight of its own. She didn't cry, she didn't yell. She just blinked, nodded slowly, and turned away. I watched her body shrink not in size, but in spirit. The air in the room shifted. That invisible thread of connection between us went slack. And suddenly the warmth of the moment turned cold. Just like that. I tried to soften it. I told her, "That doesn't mean I think you're any less beautiful." I reminded her how she carried our child, how she'd always be the most stunning woman in any room to me. But the words felt like patchwork after a tear. She nodded again, but this time her smile didn't reach her eyes. The rest of the night passed like strangers sharing space. Same couch, same show playing in the background. But we weren't watching. We were sitting with the quiet echo of a truth that hit harder than I meant it to. And as I lay awake later staring at the ceiling, I realized it wasn't really about weight. It was about reassurance, about a part of her that still longed to be seen as the girl I fell in love with. The one who once fit into that dress from college, who spun in front of mirrors and believed what she saw. And for one brief moment, she needed me to be the mirror that said, "Yes, you're still her." But I gave her honesty when she was reaching for comfort. And now I'm left wondering, did I do the right thing? Or did I miss the thing that really mattered? It's strange how a single word, 2 letters, really can carry so much weight. No. I've said it 1,000 times before to salespeople, to cold calls, to questions that didn't matter. But that night when I said it to her, it landed differently. It didn't just answer her question, it answered her fear. And I think that's what hurt. See, for most of her life, my wife was the skinny girl. The one who could eat anything and never gain a pound. The one people complimented without thinking. She didn't wear that label like a crown, but it became part of how she understood herself. Then came pregnancy. Then came 3 years of motherhood. Sleepless nights, skipped meals, and the slow, quiet shifting of a body no one warned her might never feel the same again. And through it all, she stayed strong, beautiful, capable. But beneath the surface, I think she was grieving just a little for the version of herself she once knew. So when she asked me that night if she was still skinny, it wasn't just about a dress size. It was a moment of vulnerability. She was handing me her self-doubt, asking me to hold it gently. And instead, I dropped it. Not with malice, but with indifference. Like it was just another casual truth. And I know now that kind of truth, when it's not wrapped in care, can feel like a rejection. Not of appearance, but of worth, of identity. What I thought was honesty. She heard as confirmation that she wasn't enough anymore, that maybe the changes she feared I noticed were real. And the truth is, I had noticed, but I didn't care. I didn't see her as less, just different, evolved, and honestly more impressive than ever. But none of that came out in that moment. Just no. And sometimes that's all it takes to undo years of feeling safe. She didn't storm off. She didn't raise her voice or throw her dress on the floor. That might have been easier, honestly. At least it would have given me something to respond to. But instead, she just went quiet. The kind of quiet that fills a room like fog, soft, heavy, and impossible to ignore. She folded the rest of her new clothes without another word, her hands slower than usual. I offered to help, but she smiled politely and said, "I'm good." And I swear those two words held more distance than any argument ever could. We sat on the couch like we always do. Same cushions, same routine. But the space between us had changed. Not physically, we were still inches apart, but emotionally. It felt like we were across the room from each other, yelling in our heads through sealed lips. That night when I got into bed, I waited for her to curl into me like she always does. She didn't. She stayed on her side, facing the wall. I wanted to say something to explain better, to fix what I'd broken without realizing, but the words got stuck. Because I knew deep down, it wasn't just the answer that hurt her. It was how unprepared I was for what she needed. Her silence didn't come from anger. It came from disappointment. The kind that builds slowly when someone you trust doesn't show up for you in the way you hoped they would, even if they meant well. And I think what made it worse was that she had asked me so openly, so bravely. She trusted me with her insecurity, handed it to me like glass, and I, in all my good intentions, had gripped it too tight. That silence, it wasn't punishment, it was pain. Quiet, honest pain. The kind that doesn't ask for attention, just understanding. And lying there in that stillness, I realized I'd answered her question with my mouth, but failed to answer it with my heart. I didn't lie because I thought I was doing the right thing. That's the truth. In my mind, honesty had always been the foundation of our relationship. We didn't sugarcoat. We didn't dance around uncomfortable topics. We were real with each other. That was our thing. So, when she asked me if I thought she was still skinny, I didn't even flinch. I gave her what I thought she wanted, the truth. But now I wonder, was that what she needed? I didn't say no to hurt her. I didn't say it with judgment or comparison or criticism. I said it like you'd say the sky is blue or the coffee's too hot. Just a fact. But the problem is, bodies aren't facts to the people who live in them. They're emotions, memories, history. And for her, that question wasn't about a number or a category. It was about value. About still feeling like the woman I fell in love with, even if time had changed the surface. And here's what really gets me. I don't care if she's not skinny. Truly, I don't love her less. I didn't even notice the change the way she thought I might. But in that moment, she wasn't asking for an analysis. She was reaching for comfort. She was asking, am I still beautiful to you in the way that matters? And maybe I should have seen that. Maybe I should have let love answer, not logic. Because now I realize there's a difference between being truthful and being tender. One tells the truth like it's a mirror. The other wraps it in warmth like a hand held in the dark. I didn't lie, but I also didn't make her feel seen. And that's what I might regret the most. She wasn't asking me to lie. I know that now. She wasn't fishing for compliments or begging for validation. My wife is stronger than that, too grounded, too self-aware to chase empty flattery. What she needed was to feel seen, not for the body she had before pregnancy, not for the size she used to be, but for the woman she is now, changed, yes, but no less beautiful, no less worthy. She needed to hear that I still see her with the same awe I did when we were in our 20s, even if the dress sizes aren't the same. That her softness isn't something to hide, but something earned. That her body isn't a before and after, it's a timeline of love, of late nights with a crying baby, of meals skipped so our child could eat first, of strength, built from carrying life and carrying our family. She needed me to say, you're not the girl I met, and that's okay. I didn't marry her. I married you. Because love isn't about preserving a moment in time. It's about walking through time together and saying, I'm still here, still choosing you, even when life leaves marks on the skin, even when gravity takes what youth once held tight. She didn't need a number, she didn't need a label, she needed to hear, "You are still the most beautiful woman I know." And I had the chance to say it. I had the chance to remind her that her worth was never tied to being skinny, and I missed it. Next time I won't. Because when someone bears their insecurity to you, it's not a quiz. It's a request, not for accuracy, but for love. No one teaches you how to love someone who's changing right in front of you. When you're young and falling in love, the world tells you how to chase butterflies, how to write sweet texts, how to plan perfect proposals. But no one tells you what to do when age shows up quietly, when bodies soften, when stretch marks appear like whispered reminders of life lived. No one prepares you for the moment your partner looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize herself anymore. Marriage isn't just about growing old together, it's about growing different together. And that's harder than it sounds, because change tests the foundation. It asks, do you still see me? Do you still want me? Can you love the version of me that doesn't fit the old pictures? And here's the thing, I'm only just beginning to understand. Her body isn't a departure from who she was. It's a continuation, a map of every season we've lived through. Every late night, every stress, every joy, every heartbeat we created together. The world worships youth. It sells us the lie that love fades when beauty changes. But real marriage, it deepens when you stop expecting each other to stay the same. My wife isn't the girl I married. She's stronger now, softer in some places, tougher in others, wiser, quieter sometimes, fiercer when it matters. And I didn't lose the woman I fell in love with. I just got the privilege of seeing her become something even more extraordinary. No one taught me how to say that out loud, but I'm learning. Because the truth is, if we want love to last, we have to learn how to love through evolution, through gravity, through grief, through growth. And if I could go back to that moment, I wouldn't just answer her question. I'd tell her everything life has taught me, that no mirror ever could. I can't take the words back. And maybe that's a good thing, because this isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about what I do now after the silence, after the hurt, after the weight of an answer I gave too plainly. So, I didn't try to rewrite the moment. I tried to meet it with more heart than I gave it the first time. The next morning I brewed her favorite coffee, not as a peace offering, but as a beginning. I sat next to her, held her hand, and told her everything I wish I'd said the night before, about how I see her, how she carries this family, not just in memory, but in muscle, that her beauty hasn't faded, it's evolved, that she's not who she used to be, and thank God, because who she is now moves me in ways I never expected. I didn't try to erase the word no, I gave it context. I wrapped it in why, and more importantly, I followed it with presence, real deliberate presence. I suggested we go shopping together, not so she could fix anything, but because I wanted her to feel seen again, not just when she spun in a dress, but when she walked beside me, unfiltered and fully herself. I complimented the curve of her laugh lines, the strength in her arms, the softness that our son reaches for every night. Because love isn't in the perfect answer, it's in the consistent choosing. And no, I won't lie next time she asks a hard question. But I'll remember truth doesn't live in the words alone. It lives in how we hold the person afterward, in how we remind them that they are cherished, not in spite of their change, but because of it. I've learned that in marriage, some of the most important things you'll ever say don't come from the head. They come from the heart after you've seen how your words land, after you've sat in the silence they create. That night, I gave an honest answer. But love isn't just about being honest, it's about being kind in your honesty. About knowing when truth needs a softer voice. My wife may never ask me that question again. But if she does, I hope she knows she doesn't have to. Because I'll be showing her every day in small, steady ways that her worth was never tied to being skinny or strong or youthful or anything the world tries to label her as. It was always in the way she loves, the way she keeps going, the way she shows up, especially when she doesn't feel like herself. If you've ever said something you wish you'd said differently, or if you've ever heard something that left a quiet bruise, you're not alone. Love is messy, growing is hard, but grace is always possible. If this story resonated with you, subscribe for more. Because sometimes it's not the grand gestures that keep love alive. It's the small, imperfect moments, when we learn to love better one conversation at a time. And if there's someone you need to say more to, not just the truth but the heart behind it, maybe today's the day.